The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, just want to do a sound check. If you can raise your hand, if you can hear me on the GoToWebinar application, let me know that my voice is coming through. Great, thank you. Thank you for joining us for 5 keys to obtaining high visibility as a government contractor. Before we start, I'll just briefly cover who we are at Virginia PTAC as a sponsored program of George Mason University. My name is Elizabeth Torrens, and I'm the Operations Manager of the Virginia Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We provide technical assistance and training to both small and large businesses about federal, state, and local government contracting topics. This Procurement Technical Assistance Center is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the Defense Logistics Agency. Here at Virginia PTAC at GMU, we offer many free services to small and large business, including training, one-on-one counseling, and events. In addition to the free counseling that we offer our Virginia-based clients, we also offer an inexpensive bid match subscription, also referred to as BMS. More information about that can be found on our website. The primary takeaway I want you to understand is that our training and events are free and open to anyone, but the one-on-one counseling and bid match services are limited to our official clients, those Virginia-based government contractors in our region. So if you understand that, then you understand how you can utilize our services. PTACs are regional or statewide, and with over 94 of them nationally, you're going to have a local PTAC who will be there to offer the one-on-one counseling and assistance as well, based on where your business is located. For more information, I'd encourage you to familiarize yourself with our website at virginiaptac.org or visit aptac-us.org to find your local PTAC. And now I'm going to hand over the reins to MJ, who will cover the housekeeping and introduce you to your instructor today. But I'll be here taking attendance if anyone has any questions.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining the webinar to hear Bob Rogers speak about the 5 keys to obtaining high visibility as a government contractor. My name is MJ. I'm here to get the webinar started. Some things we wanted to mention are that all of your lines are muted, so we won't be able to hear you. However, if you have any questions at any point during the webinar, you can type your question in the GoToWebinar control panel's question box and then hit send. And Bob will be able to see your questions and we can address them one by one during his talk. If you can't see the questions box, this one's likely collapsed, and to see it, you click on the triangle to the left of the word questions and it'll open the dialog box. You need to hit the send button for the instructor to see your question. We'll stop periodically to answer questions, but it may not be right away. So please type your questions with enough context so that the instructor can follow up afterwards as needed if we don't get them addressed during class. There's another URL that I'm going to put into the chat box, which is a video link that'll walk you through the GoToWebinar features. So please feel free to click on it during the break to view the video if you want to learn more about using the software. Before we start, we have a few more housekeeping notes. First, the slides are available to attendees in the handout section. It's also posted as a PDF on the eCenter where you signed up and attached to the bottom of the event description. You do have to be logged in to see it, but you can use the auto login link in your reminder email sent a little less than an hour ago. It's a shortcut to get there. And I'll include a link for instructions in the chat. And lastly, we will be taking attendance during the session, and the slides will be accessible when you are marked as attended. So now we wanted to learn more about our audience today, and to do so, we're going to take a quick poll. Please select your response from the options provided on your screen. To the first question, how long have you been in business? 6 months or less, a year or less, 2 years or less, or 2 or more years? Looks like we have about 77%, 81, almost there. Okay. Everyone's almost done. I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Share the results. Looks like 74% have been in business for 2 or more years, 11% for 2 years or less, 7% for a year or less, and 7% for 6 months or less. And the second question, how many employees do you have, including part-time? You can select one of the following: 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 7. I'm sorry, 5 to 10, or 10 or more. Okay, I want to close the poll in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Share the results. Look like 52% have 10 or more employees, 30% have 1 to 2 employees, and 9% have between 2 to 5 and 5 to 10. Next question. Do you use social media to communicate with your target audience? Yes or no? Okay, I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Share the results. Looks like 48% do use social media to communicate with their target audience, and 52% say no. And then lastly, last question, do you currently have a website? Yes or no? Okay, I'll close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Share the results. 96% already have their website and 4% do not. Okay, so thank you for taking part in the poll. And now I'm going to introduce our speaker, Bob Rogers. Bob started and ran a government contracting business for 30 years, which he sold in 2015. He was number 250 of Inc. magazine's top 500 rankings of the fastest growing privately held companies in the United States. He's won over $100 million in government contracts, and WSI Digital Solutions is his 5th business. He has a BS in engineering from United States Air Force Academy, an MBA from Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, and is an OPM graduate of Harvard Business School. He was also Dean of Business for Stratford University and an adjunct professor at Northern Virginia Community College. You can get more advice and tips on social selling and digital marketing by following Bob's company page on LinkedIn, and I will share links and contact information in the chat. Bob will be speaking today until 12 o'clock, and I'll turn it over to him now.
Thank you, MJ, for that introduction. Hopefully my screen is unfrozen by now. There we go. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you, MJ, for getting us started this morning. I'm Bob Rogers, and welcome to my digital neighborhood. I'll be your guest speaker during this presentation, and I'm very pleased to talk to you about digital marketing and how it can help government contractors. Since I've owned a government contracting business for 30 years, I understand the problems you're facing. I staff military hospitals, both CONUS and OCONUS, for about 30 years. 15 of those years was post-8A program. So I'll be talking to you about how I did that and some of the tips that you might already be doing or may be interested in learning. However, this class is about you. We want you to get to know your customers and how you can help them solve their problems. I think a good understanding of the power of digital marketing can help you find and keep your clients. All right, in today's world, digital marketing is a critical tool you need to be in order to be visible to your target audience. Program managers, contracting officers are much more likely to do business with someone who they know and they trust. Digital marketing gives you the power and the visibility to find your prospects and your customers and to gain their confidence. So let's look at the definition. A visible company is a company that has attained high visibility and a reputation for expertise and quality of service in their industry niche. 3 main factors to take away. Number 1, reputation for expertise. Number 2, quality of service. And number 3, known in your industry niche. Federal government's a very large place. So why is visibility important? Well, there are 5 reasons. First of all, you get more opportunities if you're visible. Specifically, if you're talking about teaming, subcontracting, follow-on contracts, or just recognition from your customers. These are all reasons why you should want to be visible. Closing sales, it gives you more extensive pipeline, the ability to build up more opportunities, faster growth. A growing company is a healthier company financially, and it attracts more talent. And talent acquisition in today's world is really crucial to the growth of a smaller Gov Con. And it has more opportunities available to them just in general, if people know who you are. It also gives you higher profits. I mean, even if your bottom line percentage is the same, if your top line is actually increased, you just have more money at your bottom line. But presumably, you're able to scale and grow and even increase your profit margins. And here's the real cincher. It's greater valuation. When I sold my business back in 2015, the two most significant factors that the buyers wanted to know was growth and profits. 80% of my conversations with them was how much money do my contracts, or how much money are my contracts going to make for them over the next 2 or 3 years? And does that cover the amount of money that they paid me to purchase my company? So that's the math on that, and that's the reason why visibility is important. Now, before we start diving into the details of how you get visible, let's talk about the landscape that we're operating in. Hinge Marketing Institute publishes an annual survey of Gov Con marketing strategies. And the survey includes 1,300 participating firms. Major factors, and the major factor influencing this study last year was, in other words, this is the 2021 study done for last year, is that the pandemic, the global pandemic, obviously is a game changer. Those companies who use digital marketing tools were visible and they thrived. Others, for various reasons, and I can't say it's all due to digital marketing, did not. The following 4 slides go into a little bit more detail about the COVID impact of the marketing budgets, leads generation, and remote work.
Bob?
So, yeah.
Someone had a question. How many multiples did your government contracting business sell for? This was Alan Ma asking.
Multiples of what? Multiples of.
Let me see if he gets back to us.
I'm gonna pause and let me come back to that, because that, I mean, the valuation of I wasn't expecting to get a valuation of my business, but I'll be happy to answer that question in great detail. I can tell you this: selling a business is just like starting a business. You have to plan for it. You have to go through all the steps necessary to ensure that the buyers have all of the information that you need. And believe me, it took me 3 years to sell my business, and it was quite a process. All right, so budget. In 2020, government contractors dramatically increased the percentage of revenue they dedicated to marketing. The increase was over 150%, as you can see, 8% the year before, and now 20%. Why such a huge jump? Well, traditionally, government contracting is face-to-face networking, association memberships, conferences, okay? In 2020, many firms were forced to rethink that whole strategy. For some, that meant taking an entirely new approach to digital infrastructure. Smaller firms tended to spend a higher proportion of their revenue on marketing businesses and business development. So this is a paradox, guys. You have to spend more money in the downturn. It's just one of those things, and believe me, I've been through a lot of downturns in my business career, and the natural tendency is to cut back. Well, in point of fact, you have to increase the amount of your spend, and the firms that chose the method they chose to do it is in digital marketing. So lead generation, again, historically, the portion of new business leads generated from digital sources such as websites, email, social media, advertising, it's been pretty low for government contracts. Those days are over, I'm here to tell you. Leads from digital sources is now an eye-popping 44% versus 27% for the previous year. It's almost double. It's an astounding increase. These would used to be called non-traditional sources represent nearly half of all opportunities now. The bottom chart shows you that there's a high correlation between high profits and obtaining leads through lead generation. And the next slide shows the government contractors continue to accelerate their investment in digital marketing tools and techniques. Social media, in particular LinkedIn, saw a jump used mainly for networking purposes. Other popular digital strategies are email marketing, and these are two that we rely on a great deal and we advise our clients to use. But don't count out the ones that are at the bottom here, social media, webinars, and blogs. Now, I fully expect that when Hinge comes back out with this report next year, what you're going to see is the webinars, social media, and blog posts increase. And you're going to see all forms of digital marketing really take an enormous jump in terms of the usage by government contractors. So, and here's the last slide, which is tangential to this, but something that is very important, and I think you should know. And that government contractors, although they have a wide range of industries and work situations, some on-site, off-site, and trust me, all of my employees when I was back in the Gov Con days were all on-site. They were all on military hospitals. I staff military hospitals, CONUS and OCONUS, and they were on-site, so that's the only way I could operate. But I did have administrative offices, 2 of them, as a matter of fact. What this study shows you is that now that businesses have had an opportunity to adapt to the pandemic conditions, some may never return. 18.5% of government contractors plan to downsize their office space to reduce the overhead and adapt to more flexible work from home. More than 1 in 3 in this survey of respondents say the organizations have already reduced. So this is a trend. The company that I've started now, the digital marketing company, we do not have a designated office space. We have a shared office space arrangement with an address and a mailbox and answering service, and we can use it when we need it, but we all pretty much work remotely. All right, so that brings us to the main event. What are the 5 keys for successful digital marketing? Well, remember, these tools will make you visible to your target audience, customers, prospects, prime customers, etc., before the solicitation hits the street or a prime contractor is looking for you, okay? That's what this is all about. All right, so the first one is target market. This is the most crucial part of digital marketing. You're gonna hear this over and over and over again. Your target audience must be focused and it must be narrow. You cannot be all things to all people. We'll discuss the use of the buyer's journey and how buyer personas can help you focus on that. A website. We asked you the question about website. I was glad to see that almost everybody in this room does in fact have a website. We'll be discussing the components of a high-performing website. So what you want to do is make sure that you capture what we're saying to you and see how your website stacks up with this. We'll show you how to develop a site where your target audience comes to learn about whether your products or services can help them solve their problems. Social media. We'll show you how to use the tools like LinkedIn to engage with your prospects and your customers. I see that half of you are already using social media, and that's great. Would like to see it increase, and I can assure you that those of you who are not active will be active over the coming months and years if you want to be visible in the government or any marketplace. Content marketing may not be a term that you're familiar with, but it's crucial to digital marketing, and it's king. Content is the thoughts and the ideas that run through all of your digital marketing tools. The information educates your audience on your expertise, and it shows you how you're a subject matter expert in your field. And that's what you want to be. You want to be a subject matter expert, a SME, an SME. That's what it's all about. And that differentiates you from your competitors. And that's where you always want to be. You want to be different, but different in a good way. And then we're going to talk about email marketing, which you might find hard to believe that email marketing is still the #1 way to reach your target audience. We show you how to use your content to reach and impress your target audience through email. So it's quite interesting. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the process of using multiple digital marketing tools to reach your target audience, and it's called digital marketing strategy. You don't have to use all of them. In other words, you don't have to have all these going at one time. You can start with one and build slowly. But eventually, the more you use, the better off you are. I'm a chess player. I play chess every day. I play online with guys all over the world. And one thing I know about chess is you got to develop your pieces fast. And if you're on the attack, the only way you can win, which is checkmating the king, is through multiple pieces. There is no such thing as one powerful piece like the queen, for example, going out and destroying all the defenses. It doesn't work that way. You have to use them in concert in order to win. And the ability to use strategy and tactics is important in chess, and it's important also in digital marketing. Okay, let me just stop there. Do I have any other questions other than how much the
no questions at this moment.
Okay, all right. Feel free to ask if something is on your mind. That's what I'm here for. All right, let's talk about your target market. We all know that target audiences are important, but we're not always clear about who should be in the target market. So let's talk about the people that I think should be in there. #1 is your target customers. These are the kinds of customers that you want more of because you think or you know that you can do a good job for them. So if you're already in an agency or you're, for example, when I was staffing military hospitals, I decided that I was only going to do military hospitals. I didn't do correctional hospitals in the federal government. I didn't do commercial hospitals, and there were a ton of them around the Washington metropolitan area. I didn't feel that I could be an expert in all those fields, so I just concentrated in one of them, and it was Army, Navy, and Air Force hospitals. Influencers, people who are already in this space that other people listen to. So they may not be people that you do business with, but in fact they're consultants or they're bankers or they're accountants or they're people who know a lot of people in your space. So you want them on your list. And then your business partners, firms that you work with, firms that you know, firms that you're in teaming relationship with, but also firms that you're in your in your networks, we're in the in the trade associations. That's the word I'm trying to find. Find your trade associations. There's where you want to make sure that you have those people on the list as well, so that you can stay top of mind with them. Because in the pandemic, it's hard to get together on a face-to-face basis. And then lastly, potential employees. These are individuals who are visible to your target market and possible candidates to work with. And recruiting a high-level person in particular takes months. It took me 6 to 8 months to recruit my chief operating officer in my company at a critical stage of its growth. And the only way I had to do it was to constantly see and meet with him over time, because he was a highly in-demand individual. And so staying top of mind is very important. And this is how you do it digitally, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about buyer persona. Now, this is a buyer persona is a fictional representation of your ideal client or customer. With a clear picture of who you're marketing to, it's much easier to develop effective, targeted content that speaks to your buyers' goals and challenges and their needs. Now, it's real simple. This person is not your target market, but it's an idea, so you get an idea what we're talking about. You give information on their age, their personality, the occupation, and their interests. And this is a typical buyer persona that a commercial firm would have. But we're government contractors, so our buyer personas live and work in the federal government. And luckily, we have an organization called Market Connection that specializes in researching how government decision makers make buy goods and services from Gov Cons. One of last year's reports focused on the government customer's buyer persona. In the next 2 slides, I'll show you just a quick thumbnail of what they found. So the first thing is where do they go? I mean, the big question you want to know is, where do the govies go when they want to find something out? And the answer is, the #1 place that they go is Google. They do a Google search. Therefore, if you want a government decision maker to find your company, you need to be visible on the internet, okay? If you look further down there, vendor webinars, social media are at the bottom of this list. Again, just like the other list that I showed you from Hinge Marketing, I expect that when this study comes out next year, in fact, I already have some indication because they've released another study, which I was on a call just before I got here, that indicated that the govies are not going to return to the office space. They're going 25% are hardcore going to remain at home, and another 75% want, or excuse me, not another 75% of those, so another 50%, 75% want at least a hybrid working environment. So that means there's only 25% or so, or even less than that, that are going to be in their offices all the time. And the same impact on conferences. They're just not going to be anymore as many in-person conferences as there was before. So this is really a game changer. And if you want to reach these people, you're going to have to be visible. You're going to have to be where they are looking, and that's be visible on the internet. Now, just to go take a step further, this is an infographic on an example of a government decision maker's buyer persona. This guy here is in the Department of Veterans Affairs. He's 48 years old. He's been in the federal government 23 years. He sits on a team that makes purchasing decisions and evaluates contract proposals. Bottom line, he's a real player, okay? This is the kind of person that you want to get in front of. Now remember, this person here is not real, okay? This is a fictional representation of an aggregate of data that Market Connections put together to demonstrate what the buyer is like, right? So what do you want to know about this individual? Well, on the right-hand side here, there's 3 key things, and you can read the others on the left on your own. But the 3 key things are, first of all, how does this individual want to be communicated with? Well, he likes in person, and he likes email. You can see in the boxes, the two circles there. So what's the implication of that? He wants to be in person. Well, the implication is he probably didn't do much in person over either this year or last year. And I have, again, with the meeting this morning, proof that this individual has pivoted, or as most government people have pivoted towards social media. They're on LinkedIn, and we'll go through all the other places that they're looking as well. On a learning basis, this individual likes video, likes to watch shortcut videos. I know I do. I'm always on YouTube looking at a video, primarily about digital marketing, but sports, anything else that I like. I primarily get it off of short videos. And then discovery. If this individual wants to figure out what's out there or make a hard decision about what to do, he's going to use a search engine. And he's going to go and look for a Google search. Or he's going to go and ask a colleague. Or he's going to go to an industry event. And he can still go to industry events, and they're still happening, but they're just happening virtually. So if you want to meet this guy, you want this guy to know who you are, then you're going to need to be where he is virtually. Any questions before I get into websites?
No questions.
Okay, rolling right along. How are we doing on time, MJ? I forgot to turn my clock on.
You got an hour left.
Okay, thank you. All right, so websites is the next one. Now that you've given you some background on why it's visible, I want to specifically talk to you about the website. But before we get started on that, I want to make an observation. And you can kind of get the sense of where I'm headed based on what I told you about the buyer persona. In the old days, back when I was a contractor, the only way somebody in the government knew who I was is that I had to go and I had to tell them. I had to go out and I had to call them up, or I had to send them a letter, or I had to make an appointment to make a presentation. That was the only way. Now, as you just saw, anyone from the federal government can go on the internet and type in keywords and find what they're looking for and find you. Let's say, for example, they find out about your firm. What do you think the first thing they're going to do? They're going to go to their website. Then they're going to check out whether or not you're on social media. And yeah, they got tools with the databases that they have with information. But what they really want to know is who you are, what your team is, who your vehicles are. They don't know everything there is to know about you. And that's where they're going to find you. Your website is very, very important. And if you have an opportunity, read a book by David Meerman Scott. It's called The New Rules of Marketing and PR. And if you say, well, that really doesn't apply to government contractors, you're dead wrong. It definitely applies to government contractors. It is a very powerful book that lays out the titanic shift from the control being with the buyer to the control being with the seller, that's us, shifting over to the control of the buyer. The buyer now has the ability to find out all there is about you and then determine whether or not they want to talk to you or not. That's huge. So we want you to build high-performing websites. And a high-performing website should be lead generating. It should be easy to find. And so there's some specific criteria associated. There's clear messaging and professional imagery. Remember, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. Responsive design across multiple platforms. Your user experience needs to be optimum on any device, including mobile devices, okay? Educational content. Your expertise and your capability to solve problems needs to be on full display. And then finally, all your information needs to be optimized for search engine optimization, SEO. We want people who don't know you to be able to find you. That's what SEO is all about. And we'll go into more detail on each and every one of these. All right, so first of all, let's talk about clear messaging and imagery, excuse me. So, 81% of the buyers view your website. I just told you about that before they make a decision. So when you look at this slide, if your eyes are wandering away from the text and over toward the image of the parakeets, then I've accomplished my mission, because I want to show you the power of imaging, okay? And it's going to be a consistent theme throughout this entire presentation, is that images are important. You should always have good images to support your text, but nevertheless, the image should in fact be something that people want to look at. Use original photos if you can, but if you can't, make sure you're authentic. If you have to use stock, use local scenes. Stay away from the happy, smiling people. I hate to say this, I don't want to get in any trouble, don't want any blowback, but look, guys, everything I've ever read about government contracting, stay away from the bald eagle, stay away from the American flag. It's overused. No one's going to question my patriotism given the fact that I'm an Air Force Academy graduate, Vietnam War veteran, and a staffer of military government contractors. So I have nothing against the American flag, believe me. But if you want to use an image that's related to your industry. For example, when I was a government contractor, I used images of hospitals, Walter Reed in particular, because my target audience were people who were in the military medicine, and everybody knew what Walter Reed looked like. So there's a perfect example of pivoting away from the cliches to something that's relevant to your target market. Brand positioning. So you got to answer the three questions on your website. What do you do? Make sure it's clear and straightforward. Don't be a jack of all trades. Generally, this is on your services and your products tab. What do you, who do you do it for? You need a tab on your site with your certifications, your vehicles, and your customers. And why should they do business with you? Show your expertise, like content on your blogs, white papers, testimonials, past customers. This is the best way to educate your customers about who you are and what you're all about. Now, high-performance websites also have responsive design. That means that the user experience in searching the internet on a device is the same no matter what. 85% of Americans own a smartphone. 63% own tablets. Therefore, most of the internet searches are on mobile. We do reports for our customers, and we show them where the searches on their internet and the searches from the internet come from. It's mostly from mobile devices. Also, Google ranks mobile friendliness much higher in their algorithms. So that's another huge piece. And then your aspect ratio, that's the height, that's the height. I have a daughter who's a photographer, so she taught me all about aspect ratio and how it works in the whole 9 yards. But the systems architecture has to be able to make sure that your content is adaptable to each one of these types of platforms and screens that you see in front of you. All right, educational content. This is information that's useful to your target market and showcases your expertise. There are two types of content. There's premium content, and this is designed for thought leadership. On my website, we have a tab called Resources, and I want this content to be a separate section on the website, and I want to invite the visitor to check out my publications and learn all about the subjects, okay? Guys, white paper, ebooks are on there. We'll talk more later about this. You'll get an example. Flow content is designed to draw traffic to your website. They're shorter in length, and they're designed for you to engage with the reader. They're also the primary vehicle for getting non-client referrals, okay? For example, readers like your social media posts or they connect with you on LinkedIn. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about flow content and engagement. And lastly, guys, no sales pitches, okay? It's crucial to stay away from sales material. I can't tell you the number of times I see somebody finally put a post on LinkedIn or whatever, and they're selling. You know, we just got our 8A certification, and we're now, you know, ready for business. Well, good for you, okay? What's that got to do with the customer? And who is your customer, by the way? It doesn't say in the post. Just be careful as that you're making something that's relevant to your target audience. Search engine optimization is a technique used with your content and to make it easy and accessible for search engines to crawl and pick you out. This is different from pay-per-click. We actually pay for an advertising and put you on the first page. This is organic. This is the ability to get on the first page of Google through your through this process that we're going to explain it to you. So one of the things is I love about this slide. You can see that SEO is in black, because if all of you sitting in this session were students at Hogwarts, which is the school that Harry Potter went to, SEO would be taught by Professor Snipe in his dark arts course, because that's kind of the way the people in the SEO world work. It's kind of hocus pocus. And so we're going to try to demystify all that for you. It's really simple. It's basically 4 different things. Number 1 is relevance. And relevance to a search engine means keywords. A search engine is designed to look for keywords, and it will then rank those keywords according to how important they think they are. And if your content has those keywords, then your content therefore will be ranked higher. Authority. This is based on the links to your website. So if your website is linked, for example, to a trade association that's very large, or it's linked to a partner, a major corporation that has a lot of links, a lot of followers to it, then the authority of your website also increases. And link building is really a specific strategy that needs to be done by a professional. The user experience, we've already talked about that. It's very important that your technology is not clunky and it's hard to navigate. And technology, if the website is optimized for technology, for example, your website is built on the latest technology to make it easy for Google to crawl. Almost all people that call us and we talk to them, all of our clients, probably have websites that are somewhere around, on average, at least 5 years old. Well, I can assure you that any website that's 5 years old is completely out of date. And even now, we're working with a client who put up their website 3 years ago, and the functionality that the client now wants to do cannot be done on the website. So we're having to redo the website to keep up with the functionality. Okay? So let me give you an example. I'm sorry, excuse me, a little heavy-handed on the clicker there. All right, so this is one of our clients, and you can click on their website and you can follow along if you'd like. But the whole purpose here is to answer 3 questions. Question number 1, what do you do? Well, there it is up in the top left-hand corner. It's an information technology, healthcare, and professional services company. The blue, black, and red tabs here each say information technology, healthcare, and professional services. So you can click those, and it will take you to landing pages that will give you more information. Or they'll spin around and they'll give you a short summary. Second question your website wants to answer is, who do you do it for? So if up on the upper right-hand side, let me see if I can get you a pointer here. So over here on the upper right-hand side, this tab is called the Contracts Vehicles tab. And it lists all their customers across here and all their logos. And it also has a description of what each of these is all about. So you don't have to run around all over the place trying to figure out who this company does business with. It's all one place. And then the last thing is, why should I contract with you? And this is the most critical question. And we answer that question is after you click this blue tab, one of the three options is networking and information security. There are three different services. And all the information you want to learn about it is right here. We've got an image, and each one of these tabs flips around and gives you more detail and more information here. And then notice that there's always a call to action on every single solitary page so that it's easy for the reader to get in touch with you. You don't want to have to go all the way to the end, get out of this page, and go to the end of the website to try to figure out how to get in contact. It should be right there, okay? So those are the reasons, those are the questions that are being asked. So I'm gonna stop here. Social media is our next area, and I see we have some questions here, right? You want to try to fit those through for me, MJ? Yeah.
Sure, yeah. One, if you want to, from Kajal Kapoor, he said this question is related to something you said earlier about being an SME. What if your firm satisfies all the criteria you mentioned, knowledge of field, known entity, etc., but buyers are really looking for lowest price, technically acceptable?
Yeah. It's the bane of our existence, LGPA. Believe me, I can tell you a horror story after horror story after horror story. One of the things, the only thing I can tell you is I lived in that world for many years. And what I can tell you is that you have to be able to, first of all, get noticed so that you make the cut on the capability side. Once you get into the pricing area, you're going to need experts to help you with that, to figure out what the market play is. It's a whole different science of pricing. And that's not what this webinar is about. But believe me, I feel your pain. I don't like it. I think best value is the only way the government should be procuring, but it is what it is. But just make sure you do your end, which is to keep yourself as a subject matter expert, and then go to the next route and discuss with experts how you price yourself. There is a specific strategy as to how to do it, but your content should also include your pricing strategy as well. That's part of your proposal. Don't know if I didn't answer your question, maybe you can circle back to me and we can talk more in detail.
And then Jennifer Hanks just said that this is definitely the best marketing presentation that she's seen in her short career in the Gov Con space.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I have a lot of, you see my hair is gray, Jennifer. That probably gives you an indication of how many mistakes I've made over in government contracting, and I'm happy to give you whatever I can to make sure you don't make those mistakes. Okay, no more questions?
No, that was it.
Okay, let's talk about social media. So one of the most frequent questions I get asked about digital marketing is, why do I need a social media strategy? I already got a website. And what, you know, and believe me, it doesn't have anything to do with small firms. I'm talking about big firms. You know, I got a client that, you know, all he wants to talk about is website. Fine, we give him website stuff. He thinks social media is what teenagers do on TikTok. I mean, that's his idea of social media. So I want to tell you guys, the jury is already in on social media. It should be a regular part of your business strategy. Like anything else we're doing, it takes time, resources to develop a successful social media strategy. Large and medium-sized businesses are already doing this, okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you. You're already, it's not like, well, this is something new. It's already here. The big businesses are already doing this big time. They've already got numbers of people on their staff that do this. That's all they do. They work in, they come in the morning and they're doing social media. So you're gonna have to figure out a way to compete with this and stay visible. So let's talk about why. Why do people use social media? Well, there are 4 reasons. The first is networking. Just like in person, social media can help you develop relationships. Just like networking at events or conferences. The advantages are significant, however, in my opinion, for networking. I think I'm a better networker today than I was back when we were doing in person, because I have a lot more opportunities to touch base with the people that are in my network. Less scheduling conflicts, geographic boundaries, no travel. You know, this is asynchronous communication. Asynchronous meaning that you don't get an immediate feedback. You put something out there and the sender puts something out there and the receiver gets it on their own time. But the point is they get it. You can promote your content through social media. It's the best way to promote your content. It's the best way to promote your thought leadership is through content promotion. SEO, using keywords, we talked about this, increases your visibility. So there's another reason. And here's one that is really coming on gangbusters, guys. If you haven't already felt this, you will feel this if you're starting growing, and that's talent acquisition, recruiting. And because of the internet and the COVID pandemic, the trend toward remote work is escalating the use of digital marketing tools in order to find talent. Job boards like Indeed and websites, career websites on your website, which you should have, okay, are now in competition with the LinkedIn platforms, which are much easier to use and navigate and are just absolutely fabulous. And we're getting our clients into using LinkedIn to recruit as well. It's a big problem all of them have, okay? So I'll go through this very quickly. You guys all know what LinkedIn is. It's a B2B, B2G tool. Make sure you have a good company page, professional photo, descriptive title, link to your website. Again, this is something I can go into more detail on a one-on-one basis with you. Twitter is the next most used. Everyone uses Twitter. I mean, everyone in the country. Most of your digital marketing subject matter experts or SMEs or influencers, the big influencers are all on Twitter. It's 280 characters, and I thought that wasn't enough to get my message across, and I've been doing it for so long now that even my LinkedIn posts are 280 characters because it's just more efficient. I've learned to compress my message. Facebook is the 800-pound gorilla. It is larger than all of the others put together. Despite its current problems and lack of trust, there is no significant drop-off in the use of Facebook, okay? They may be taking a PR hit, but they're not taking a financial hit. Their profits just exploded again for another year-over-year quarter. Last quarter is now up. Their profits are up 9.7%. That's not the stuff of which a struggling company makes. And then lastly, YouTube. We talked about YouTube before. We have a YouTube channel that we use, and we put our content on, and we also place it on our website. It's a great way to sell. There are a lot of YouTube millionaires out there, and they're not just selling cosmetics or clothing. They're selling everything, including digital marketing. Neil Patel is one of the biggest digital marketers out there, and he has a YouTube channel, and that's all he does. And by the way, if you do play chess, you can find some great videos on chess. All right, let's get some examples. Here are our customers. Here's one of our customers that has been enormously successful using social media. And you can see that these are three examples. Excuse me, let me turn on the laser here so you can see. So she's got LinkedIn, she's got Twitter posts, and she also has Facebook. And she does 10 of each. So she's out there with 30 posts a month, lighting up the world. And you say, wow, that seems like overkill, does it? Well, it's turned into, when we first got to her for something around 500 followers, she now has 2,000 followers. And this has grown, I'd say over, I don't want to over exaggerate, but it's not much longer than a year, if it is a year. And correspondingly, the number of people that doubled that visit her website. So four time increase in social media and a doubling in people going to her website because she's visible. And people call her all the time. Every time I talk to her, she's busy trying to sign up some new client. And she keeps all of her stuff. Every time she gets a new client, we put something out. Every time she gets on a panel, we put something out. Hopefully you guys got one of our emails, for example, or you saw our LinkedIn post or Twitter post about this webinar. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here and see if anybody's got any questions on social media.
There was one question on social media and one on SEO. The one on social media asked, is there a disadvantage to only using LinkedIn? From Jennifer.
No, there's no disadvantage. There's no disadvantage to only using LinkedIn. You can get a greater advantage if you use LinkedIn and another one. And the more you use, the more successful you're going to be. The point is, you took the step to use LinkedIn. That's great. And everybody starts someplace. That's where I started. I started on LinkedIn. It was my only social media platform. And then later I added Twitter and Facebook. I primarily use not for business, but for social. But kind of goes back and forth. But no, there's no disadvantage in just using LinkedIn.
And then are there any SEO courses or certifications you would recommend?
All over the place. HubSpot has great material. LinkedIn Learning has a ton of information out there. Those are two that I know of. If you noticed on MJ's certification, she has 4 HubSpot certifications. And you'll see later on my other associate has certifications from HubSpot as well. We pretty much are locked in at HubSpot. I'm not selling HubSpot as the way to go. You should choose whatever platform you want. But those are the two that I know that the digital marketing community relies heavily on, LinkedIn and HubSpot. So those are the ones I know. Those are the ones that I can personally vouch for. I can't speak to the others. Anything else?
And those are all the questions. And SEMrush too is also good for SEO certification.
Right.
Yep, those are all the questions.
Yeah, SEMrush is a very advanced tool that we use to help our clients out. If you don't have time to go into that, I would kind of stick with more with the HubSpot and the MJ's an expert in SEMrush. I think that's why she put the plug in there. And it's what we use primarily with our clients. So There it is. How am I doing on time, MJ?
Yeah, 30 minutes left.
Okay. All right. So let's go into content. We talked about it a little bit here, and we got 2 of these things to get through, so I got to step up the pace here. Some of you may not be familiar with content marketing. Nevertheless, it's the core of every successful digital marketing strategy, and it goes hand in glove with SEO. At my company, we use content as our primary tool to reach our target market. We think it's the fastest way to position ourselves as trusted advisors with government contractors. Okay? So what is it? So the definition is it's employing educational content that's useful and relevant to your target audience to develop new business. Okay? Content is king. Without content, there is no digital marketing. Content is the raw material used in all digital marketing platforms. It demonstrates your expertise. You're using your content to explain how you can solve your potential customers' problems. Search engine optimization, again, is impacted by your content because of the keywords that you're using, but also the search engines can detect the difference between old, I mean, they're massive computers, so they know old, tired, recycled information. They know the difference between that and fresh new information. And they're gonna move the fresh new information up the chain and the other down. And it generates referrals. Prospective customers who've never heard of you can share your information. That's what's cool about this, guys. Think about this. You put something out there and someone who you've never heard of, okay, get your content. I get stuff back all the time from people who I've never heard of, and they like me, or they want to follow me on LinkedIn, or hook up when you have a chat or a meeting or whatever. I would have never known them. Whereas in the in-person world, that's not possible, you know, unless somebody refers you. But now in the digital world, there's all kinds of people out there to say, wow, this is the kind of content that I need. Let me contact this person directly. So there are people out there who don't even know you who will in fact be able to connect with you. All right, so how do you develop content? All right, so I want you to take a good look at this thing in green, because this is going to help you. Right here, it's not about you. Okay? You may think it's about you, you may feel it's about you, but it's not about you. Okay, this is not about selling yourself. This is about developing content that generates ideas that your target audience wants to learn about. Okay, so how do you develop it? Well, you figure out what the client's needs are, and then you write about the products and services that satisfy those needs. So how do you figure out clients' needs? Well, you got to do research. And the first place to look, I think, is to look at prior solicitations. This will show you what's currently going on inside the agency. And it'll give you a lot of information. But agency procurement, agencies are also required to have agency procurement plans. Each federal agency is required under Public Law 100-656 to use a report to small and disadvantaged firms on an annual basis to project the procurement planning for the next year. Now, the former head of PTAC is a good friend of mine, Anna Ehrman. She's now over at the State Department, and her report is just absolutely wonderful. And she's just a classic example of how to figure out what that agency is all about. A little cautionary note: if you set up a meeting with her, you better have your ducks in a row. You better have a good story before you get there, because she doesn't want to. She's not there to coddle you. She's there to help you get introductions, but that requires you to do some work. I'm doing another session earlier next year on how to prepare to meet an OSDB, and it goes through all of this, and this is part of it. All right, so you want to be strategic when you do your content as well. You just want to put some random stuff out there that just, pops off the top of your head. So there's a 3-step process that we use and you should use. First is, what is your big idea? You can't be all things to all people, so figure out what your big idea is and how to serve that market. Maybe it's your mission statement. Maybe that's it, okay? I'll give you an example here of what we do. So we're here to provide internet consulting services to government contractors. Notice it doesn't say we're here to provide general consulting to people in the Washington metropolitan area. No, it's very specific. It's only internet consulting and it's only a government contractor. So you say, well, Bob, is that all you do? No, we do have people who, for example, I have a financial services company that does lending to government contractors. I have a accounting firm that does a lot of government contracting work, and I also have a accounting. Help me out, MJ. Who's my third one? Anyway, these people are related to the government. That's the point. So even though they're not government contractors, they provide services to the government. The second point is that after you do get the big idea, you want to develop issues. All you need is 2 or 3. You don't need like 10. Just 2 or 3 main issues that you want your customers to remember you about and understand what you do. Now, under the topic of provide internet consulting to government contractors, I have developed high-performing websites and creating engaging social media campaigns. Those are my 2 big ideas. And quite frankly, those are the things that we do the most of in our practice. So that's what I want to write about. And that's what happens at step 3. The specific topics that I create under those, and there'll be multiple topics, are what needs to be done. For example, creating a video or a blog on how to make an engaging LinkedIn post. Now, I chose this because this is a real life example, because the first thing I ever learned about digital marketing was social media, and the first thing I ever learned about social media was how to write a LinkedIn post from my mentor, who was trying to introduce me to this world of digital marketing. And it took me months to satisfy him. He didn't like the profile, he didn't like the head, he didn't like this, he didn't like that. And after a while, it got to be automatic. Just like I told you before, like anything else, this takes work. And if you want to be successful at it, you have to work at it. Now, what are you going to do with all this content? One of the things you can do with it, and this is the really cool thing about content, is it never goes away. Once you create it, it's yours. It's not like putting an advertising in a magazine and then it disappears. It stays with you, and you can repurpose it in different formats. Now, what we do is we put a lot of our content on our website. So on my website, I have 6 tabs, and I have a tab for homepage tab. I have a company page tab that gives an overview of the company, the services, and then I have a contact us. Now, in between, you have the media tab. If you go there, and you can see here's my website. If you go there, you'll see media, resources, and blogs. Now, the media, I have bio, testimonials, press releases, and swing dancing. Swing dancing? What's that? Well, guys, I'm a swing dancer. I actually am a performing swing dancer. I perform the Cherry Blossom Parade when it used to happen, and I perform at the Kennedy Center, which is my favorite performance, every year. And it's a lot of fun, and I've been doing it for many years. The And so you say, well, why in the world, Bob, would you put something like that on a business website? Didn't you just tell us 5 minutes ago not to, do something like that? Well, actually, what this does, guys, is sort of humanize my brand. It also is a conversation piece. When I tell people that I'm a swing dancer, or when people inquire and they say, well, gee whiz, where do you do it? And I say, well, why don't you go to my website and check it out? Guess what? They have to go to my website in order to see all the videos. And they're all there. There's about 6 or 7 of them. You can all see what it looks like. And it's sort of a progression, too. I kind of get better as time goes on. Then there's a resource tab. I have one for Boots to Business. I was a Boots to Business instructor for 6 years. I'm in the process of creating a PTAP one, which hopefully you all will visit and can pull down data for free anytime. And all my stuff on my website is free. Webinars, Digital Minds book, which my franchisor has put together. And the blogs are by category: brand management, competitive analysis, all different kinds of blogs, and they're all categorized. And so that way it's organized in one place that makes logical sense. All right, let me stop before I get to the last one, email. Do I have any questions on content?
Yes. Rachel was asking, she says that they have some promo videos that she doesn't think anyone watches, and they're linked to their website and their LinkedIn profile. She noticed that LinkedIn now accommodates a short video for the cover photo that can be used to introduce yourself. And she's thinking of creating a video for her own personal LinkedIn profile, but is not sure how well this would be received. Her question is, how and where should or could we be using videos to market to government buyers? Is it worthwhile, or do they ignore them and find them to be cheesy?
The government buyers, as I have explained to you before, are sitting at their desk, just like at home, just like you are, and they're trolling the internet. And if they find your website, what you want them to do is to stay on it for 2 minutes. You don't want them to look at it and bounce off. One of the easiest ways to keep somebody on your website is a video. And as far as your social media, absolutely. I think it's a great idea that you use a video. Try to keep it under 3 minutes maximum. Probably around 1 minute is ideal. But the fastest growing component of digital marketing is videos. Remember the big client that I showed you the website that had the 3 panels? Well, all we're doing for them is video. Every client that comes on now wants a video, and for good reason. Everybody wants something quick and short and visual. We're a visual species. That's what we like. We don't, this tech stuff is great, but we really, and you'll see this in the email marketing section, which I need to get into. Do I have another question?
What should you say in 280 characters to catch a reader's attention?
Well, of course, it depends on your subject, but one of the key things is to create a question. Okay, one of the tricks I use is to create a question. If the subject is, as I said before, and I'm not sure if I got on the slide yet. I think you're going to see it later on demonstrated. If it's about government contract vehicles, the question would be, are you prepared to bid on XYZ contract vehicles or contract vehicles in general? So you'll see how that works, and then the text follows that, okay? So hang in there, and if I don't answer this question, come back and let me know, because it's an excellent question. Okay?
There's 2 more, but we can save them for the end.
Okay, I'm glad the questions are coming. It's great.
Oh, you want to? Okay, I'll ask the next one. Do contracting officers and federal program managers use LinkedIn and Facebook to learn about vendors? My impression is that a few OSBDU do, but that federal pocketbook holders do not.
No, the studies that I read from Market Masters and Hinge Marketing, people who poll government contractors and people who poll the feds, says that government buyers use search engines, number one. They use referrals, number two, but then there's a whole bevy of other social media, webinars, events, and so forth and so on, just like the slide I showed you earlier. And they're doing it, it's going to be more and more and more of that, not less and less and less of that. And whoever is not doing it now is going to be doing more in the future. So just as I'm telling you that you need to do more, there's all these webinars going on inside the government teaching government people to use it. Now, here's another thing that's really, really important for you to understand. And I'm a little off message here, but I think you guys need to get this. In the government marketing master studies, the average age of a government person taking this is 55 years old. So you're talking about somebody who is more toward the end of their career than they are at the beginning of their career. Well, that's going to change dramatically. The number of people retiring is increasing. And so the Gen Xers and the Gen Ys are coming in. And these people, and we're already seeing that at state and local government. In state and local government, the average age of the people responding is in the 40s, 40 to 45. And these people are on social media. They're looking all the time, and they prefer to communicate, and they prefer to use digital marketing tools and communicate asynchronously.
And the last question are, what are some small and mid-sized federal vendors who you think get social media right so we can view their Facebook and LinkedIn accounts?
Well, you can you can look at our clients and the websites that I just gave you. We did competitive analysis on all of those. I can't think of them right off the top. That's a good question. Actually, I guess maybe what I need to do is is put together some examples for them, MJ. But yeah, I think if you look at our clients, that'll give you some idea. And then MJ and I will put our heads together and we'll put together a list of other businesses out there. I assume you want smaller contractors as opposed to the big guys. The big guys have huge staffs. It's hard to compete with them. So.
Okay, I'll respond to them with our client names.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, moving forward. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, moving forward. All right, moving forward. All right, email marketing. Now there are all kinds of, we use email for all kinds of purposes every day, okay? Quick notes, coworkers, long ones to clients, and even personal emails. But doing email marketing, okay, is not as easy as it sounds. It's not as simple as just quickly drafting a message and just hitting the send button. You gotta build a healthy email list, you gotta comply with spamming regulations, and you have to deliver the right message to the right people at the right time, and a lot more than that. So last year, 3 billion users used email. I mean, that's an unbelievable number. However, most of these are not marketing for marketing purposes. So to develop a successful email campaign, you need a few things. First of all, you need a clear strategy. Emails are generally designed to attract the attention of someone who does not know you, okay? Therefore, you must make a good impression on the first email. It's also used to nurture clients through the buyer's journey. We talked a little about the buyer's journey earlier. We're going to talk more about it in detail. We'll discuss the buyer's journey, as I said, in more detail. But for example, we want people to do something when they receive the email. We want them to sign up for a newsletter. We want them to attend a webinar. We want them to visit our website. These are all calls to action. So you just don't send something out there. You want to make sure it has a specific purpose. And lastly, you want to gain the trust of your reader. And the way you do that is by educating them, by being human, by being helpful. For example, being human is putting my dance videos on my website. It says that, hey, I got a sense of humor. You may think it's sort of quirky sense of humor, but yeah, hey, I try. But you don't want to be stiff, technical, and aim at selling your reader. That doesn't work. But you certainly want to have good professional images and engaging content. So how do you create a good marketing email? So the first thing is you got to use your target market list. Now, we started off this whole presentation on target market. Now you see why. Right? We've already covered everything on target market. Second is educational content. Please resist the urge to sell. I must have said this 10 times already. I can't overemphasize it. Develop your content calendar. So you want to make sure that your content is already planned out 2 to 3 months in advance. Otherwise, you won't do it. If you're waiting till this week to post something at the end of the week, it won't happen. You got to sit down and make a dedicated, conscious effort to figure out. Remember the issues and the topics that we talked about? Those have to be all laid out and have to be prepared in advance. So when we talk to our clients, we have a client calendar and we have a monthly meeting. We always end the meeting with the content that's going to be produced for the next 2 months. Okay? No matter how many times they're going to post, we're going to know what the content subjects are for the next 2 months. You want to choose an email service. We use HubSpot. You can use any of the commercially available ones, such as Salesforce, MailChimp, Constant Contact. They're all fine. They're all fine. They all have great functionality. I'm not pushing HubSpot over anyone. Whatever works for you is the one you should use. But the key thing is to try to find one that has templates that you can use. Because if you work with a graphic designer or a digital marketer, they can create these really cool professional looking emails for you. And they also will track your results for you electronically. So you don't have to go chasing around trying to figure out where you are. So my company sends out 3 different newsletters, one to customers, one to influencers, one to potential customers. And we have 2,000 contacts in our database. However, each email follows a very precise script. So the one person I asked the question about how do you do a post, how do you create a good post? This might be a part of the answer as well. First is the subject line. So the reader is not going to be interested if the subject matter is not important. So the subject line here in this slide is new research on Gov Con vehicles. Okay, and then you want to have a draft headline. Make sure this supports your subject line and makes it clear what the reader wants. So, are you prepared to bid on the next vehicle? This is what I was talking about earlier. So, you're asking a question. You're trying to generate some thought, some interest on the subject. And people in government contracting want to know, well, gee, I wonder if I am ready for the next one. And if I am, what should I do? Well, the text should make it clear and simple and attractive, and should be straightforward. You don't need a whole lot of jargon, a whole lot of back and forth. It should be very easy and straightforward. And then you should have some killer images. You should have visuals that tell you and support what the image is that's on the copy. Okay, so what does one look like? Well, this is the one that we send out to our clients. I forget, we probably sent this out a couple months ago. And you can see on the left-hand side here, click the pointer again. On this side, this is my letter to them. And it's a cover letter, and it's congratulating. It says, kudos to our client who has gained 90 LinkedIn followers in a month. So that's what this is all about. And then I go through here and congratulate them. And that's my ending. And then if you keep scrolling down, you'll get to 3 topics. And we always have 3 topics in any of our emails. And this is our template. And it has an image. It has a subject line. It has a brief text with a lot of links to it. See, those highlighted areas are links. And then the all important is the call to action. See the post, learn more, learn more. So those are the things that will grab people's attention. And we keep data and statistics on what's working and what's not working. And you can get those from any of the services you want to use. So that's the end of email marketing. Do I have any questions?
In creating an educational email that speaks about your product or capabilities, how do you avoid selling?
Well, you have to talk about what you have to. First of all, remember I talked to you about research on the client. You have to talk about what the client is interested in. So and the connection between what you're selling. So first you posit the notion of what the client really is interested in. If you're selling to, I'm not sure if you're selling to DISA or whatever, you need to know what are the procurements that are coming out? What are the procurements that are already in the pipeline? What's out there on their social media or on their website? What are they worried about? That's what you want to write about to make sure that you're on message. And then you want to posit your own solutions to that problem or pain point. And that's how you get the attention. So if you go in and talk to a small business rep of the OSBU there, that's what they're going to want to hear. They're going to want to hear, and they're going to want to know that you understand their problems and you're speaking to their problems.
Okay, that was the last question. Did you want to do the survey, Bob?
Well, first of all, I want to tell you guys that I don't work alone. I have 2 associates here that work with me. You see how valuable MJ is. You can see all these certifications she has down here in the bottom of HubSpot. This takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to acquire these. Sydney has just recently joined us, and she's primarily responsible for all our marketing emails. And so she's got a certification in HubSpot marketing. So just like anything else in life, guys, it's about teamwork. And we spend a lot of time trying to work together as a team. And I think I have the best team out here. So it's back to you, MJ.
Okay, great. So I'm just gonna, I was gonna go over the survey. So at this time, we'd like to take a survey to get feedback from you on the webinar. Please select your responses from the options provided on your screen. The first question, how much did you learn from this webinar? You can select, I've learned very many vital strategies that I will use, or I've learned a few things that'll help me with my business, or I didn't learn anything that I hadn't known already. Okay, I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. Oops. And then the second question, would you refer this webinar to a colleague? Yes or no? Okay, thank you. I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. And lastly, if you have any helpful comments on how we can improve the webinar, or if you have any feedback for the instructor, please put your comments in the questions box in the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'd really appreciate your feedback.
Okay, thanks, MJ. I promised you guys a bonus section on digital marketing strategy, and here it is. Digital marketing strategy is the process of using a combination of all these tools for your target market. So in the following 2 slides, I'll walk you through the buyer's journey, understand the stages that the buying office goes through to award a contract. And I'll show you how to use digital marketing tools to make yourself visible through each phase. All right, so in general, what we're talking about when we talk about the buyer's journey is awareness stage, consideration stage, decision stage. Awareness stage is when the prospect has experienced or expressed symptoms of a problem or of an opportunity. This stage is the ideal point in which a Govie can discover you, because they may use your content in putting out the solicitation or in figuring out how to solve your problem, which puts you in a competitive advantage. You may not know that they're looking at you, or that they're reading all of your stuff, or that they recognize you, but the point is that they do. So when they start making a decision, they'll remember who you are. The consideration stage is when the prospect can clearly define and given the names of the problem. So you may see this in the form of an RFI. The government's trying to gauge industry interest in a potential solicitation. And you should always respond to these, particularly if this is in your wheelhouse. And you can start to target your targeted marketing campaign to that agency. And then the decision state, of course, is when the solicitation is about to be sent out, and that's when they're going to figure out who they want to do business with. So again, let's show you what this looks like in the government contracting world. This is a GAO analysis slide. And you got the acquisition planning, defining the requirements, conducting the acquisition planning process. You've got the proposal prepared, request for proposal, excuse me, I'm sorry. Issuing a request for proposal, receiving proposals, and then you got the evaluation and the award. So it's a 3-step process. You all know this. You probably may not have seen it in this format, but this is an important thing to keep in mind because of what I'm going to tell you right now. So at each step, there is a role for your digital marketing strategy. So at the opportunity identification or lead status, where the project manager reads a social media post about your services, he or she likes and decides to follow you. That's huge. That's huge. If you can get somebody in the government to follow you or to read your content, then you're in pretty good shape. Or an influencer, somebody who is an influencer in your space, reading your content is also important, because Govies may not, for example, read your stuff directly, but if they read an influencer, somebody who they think knows what's going on, and that influencer likes your content or connects with you, that increases your status. When you're starting to qualify your opportunities, that's when people tend to visit your website, read one of your blog posts, share it with their other colleagues in their office. They often read about your capabilities and see your qualifications, and to see if your qualifications fit their requirements. Here's where guides, research reports, and ebooks, more extensive more detailed information comes in handy. That's how you can influence the process in that. But then before you get there, the big thing that's going to make a difference is the pre-solicitation meeting. You want to arrange a meeting with an OSBU or a project manager. Probably the gatekeeper to most agencies is your OSBU or small business rep. Or you need to attend a in-person or industry day conference. But the point is that they're going to recognize you. If your content is out there, you're going to be top of mind. And when they introduce you, they're going to say, "Oh yeah. I know who you are. Or I've read your stuff, or I've seen some of your stuff." Okay. This method worked like a charm for me when I was in government contracting. I was relentless about using vehicles and about marketing my vehicle. I was just absolutely relentless. And it was, I think, the major reason why I was able to survive getting off the 8A program and sticking around for another 15 years and actually increasing the size of my business substantially over that period of time. And because I use these techniques, and I was very fortunate to run into people who understood all this. All right, so I'm going to summarize what we covered today. We covered a lot, and I apologize if I have gone over time. I see some of you have already clicked off, and that's my fault. But to review digital marketing, target market, high performance, social media strategy, content using SEO, email marketing, and the marketing funnel. Okay. So now I am really done. I'm open for questions. Before you go though, Ms. Elizabeth Torrance, I think, probably wants to talk to you more about the Virginia PTAC. But I am here before she comes on to answer any of your questions.
There's no additional questions, Bob.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you. I don't want to take any more of anyone's time. I spoke about PTAC services at the beginning, so if anyone has questions, they can reach out to us. The contact information and resources are there in the slides.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Listen, it's been a pleasure. Every time I get a chance to talk about digital marketing, it's great fun for me. But when I get a chance to do it in front of government contractors, it's a privilege. Listen, best of luck to all of you. Godspeed and God bless. Take care.
You too. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
All right. Now, if you guys, I'm going to stay on, keep my camera on if you want to talk to me. I'm going to keep it on for about 10 minutes. So,
Sabina asked, as an experienced dancer, do you still have moments where you step on your toes or step on toes?
what was it again? What was the question?
As an experienced dancer, do you still have moments where you step on toes?
I don't step on anybody's toes. I was taught by some very, very, very good people, and I'm glad to say that I don't step on my followers' toes. If you do it right, that shouldn't happen. Has it happened? Yeah, when I first started out, yeah, trying to learn new maneuvers, but not now. Not now. That's a fun question. I like that. Yeah. I'll make other blunders, but stepping on a follower's toes is that's a good way to make sure you don't get another dance.
And remember that first question about how many multiples did your government contracting business sell for? He's
Mhm.
talking, that's a valuation question. I guess he wanted to know how much.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay. So there are different ways of valuing a business. One is book value. So it's how much you have on your balance sheet when you subtract the assets from the liabilities. And there's a multiple of book value. There's a multiple of income. So and the income could be net income, or it could be a multiple of gross profit, if you know the difference between the two. Okay, so in my case, the industry standard for healthcare, for staffing companies in general, and healthcare, somewhere between 3 and 5. So that's what I sold my company for.
Angela asked, we're going to update our website next year. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, I have a lot of recommendations. I think you should make sure you work, get expert outsider to help you, someone who, first of all, understands the technology, but also understands the government market. There are a lot of people out here doing websites, but there are not a lot of people out here doing websites that understand the government market, because you have to have a website that speaks to the government buyer. So that's my first piece of advice. Second piece of advice is that find out, ask a lot of questions about from your potential clients and people that are that you're trying to get in front of. Find out what they like and what they think is important, and then I had one other thought. I can't think of it right now. If I think of it, I'll tell you. But those two for sure are the most important ones.
And Alan
Any
was
other
just
questions?
asking, yeah, just how do you compute valuation of a government contractor business?
How do you do what?
A compute valuation of a government contractor business.
Well, I just went through that.
Oh, okay, maybe that was just, yeah, well, that was it, Bob. Oh, wait, one more. Do you have any experience or opinions on government lab created technologies?
Government lab created technologies. I do not have any experience on government lab created technologies. Is this through the SBI? If it's through the SBIR process, I assume that's what you're talking about. I do know that if you're working with SBA and the SBIR and getting funding through the various stages, again, tremendous opportunities there. If you're doing that, tremendous opportunities to put out content during each one of those stages. So as you write your proposal to get additional funding, you have content that's out on the street that establishes you as a subject matter expert in whatever it is that you're doing. So if it is SBIR, that's what I recommend. If it's not SBIR, some other kind of lab contracting with a lab, I would recommend that you create content that's targeted toward that that agency and the work that they're doing. The cutting edge nature, obviously, if you're in a lab, you're probably doing cutting edge nature, so cutting edge work. So you want to make sure that you stay on top of the trends and talk to and speak to the trends that agency is dealing with.
Okay, that was it, Bob.
Okay, we're down to 13 people. And it's 12:15, so I think I'm going to sign off. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, MJ. And thank you guys for attending. It's been fun. And I'll be doing this again next year sometime, whenever Elizabeth wants me to come back on. And my next presentation is in January. Look out for that. And it's on, excuse me for that noise. It's on how to prepare to visit a husband. All right, take care. Goodbye and good luck.
Okay.